there,
Hey,
I'm Lisa.
I'm Charlie.
Welcome to our Georgia Suburban Homestead. Today we're going to be talking about choosing your seed and planting out your spring garden. So grab a chair, grab something warm to drink, and let's look at how we do this here at our homestead. The first thing you need to do when you're planting your spring garden is to decide what you're going to grow, start inside, and what you're going to direct sow. So we do both. So we have to go through our seeds. As you see, we really don't have that many seeds. Show them, Charlie. This is all hot peppers. Okay. So first thing you need to determine is when your last frost date is. So what you do is you grab a seed packet. Put your glasses on. On the back it tells you how long it should sprout, so that's a good thumbnail for when you're using it in your greenhouses. Sprouts in 10 days. That's 60 degrees. It's frost hardy, so we don't have to worry quite so hard about the last frost date. But this is a lettuce. So you look at your seed packets to see if they're cold hardy or not. If they are cold hardy, you can start your seeds in January, early February, in the greenhouse and seed cells, or however you do that, and set them out before the last frost date. But things like cucumbers that really don't like going through a frost, you want to start 8 weeks, minimum of 8 weeks, before your last frost, so they're ready when the temperatures start to warm up during the night to put them out. So how do you figure out your last frost date? Well, we use the Farmer's Almanac. And if you go online to the Farmer's Almanac and you type in your zip code, it'll give you an estimated last day to expect frost. Here in Georgia this year, 2022, the Almanac is predicting that April 3rd, after April 3rd, you'll be okay. But there's a rule of thumb here in Georgia, as told by the old folks, I'm not old, that you wait until Easter, which isn't until the 17th. So that gives us a 2-week window to start our seeds in the greenhouse. We're in our last week of January now, so I'll be washing pots and setting the greenhouse. Up to begin starting my seeds first week of February. So Charlie, you've got something to say about the almanac.
It's generally based on historical data. You can go to, say, NOAA or your field extension agent or some other agency that either deals with the weather or gardening, farming. So
Charlie grew up on a farm. I'm a city girl from Boston. He's from Alabama. So how did you decide that on your farm?
Well,
long before you had computers to go online.
Now you're showing my age. A lot of folks, when I was growing up, would use the other plants in the area as a gauge. For instance, certain crops would be planted when the oak leaves were the size of a mouse's ear, or when some other plant budded out. You could use those plants as gauges of what might happen in your area. And you can also remember that you can have microclimates in a given area. So it may be that the oak trees in one section of a county may come out a little bit before the oak trees in another section of the county, because they tend to get a little more warmth for some reason. Side of a hill or a mountain, valley area, top of a mountain, So you kind of need to know your own climate and adjust to your local area as well as what the almanac or NOAA or whatever is going to ask for.
So learn to read your local plants.
Correct.
They will tell you what's going on. But good thing to have handy is a printout of a calendar, your calendar, so you can count back. And this tells us, I've circled the third where the Farmer's Almanac says we should count back from, and this is where your local people are saying. And then I circled second week of February, I should have all my seeds started in the greenhouse by that time. To have the plants ready to go out when it warms up a little bit. Then you're going to go out and look at your space. Everyone has different space they have to plant in, and we use raised beds here on our homestead because the soil here isn't really soil. What is it, Charlie?
It's red clay.
Red clay. Which
hard as a brick.
It is amazing. When it gets wet, it's slick. It's like someone poured oil over the ground. Excuse me. So here on our homestead, we have 15 raised beds that are at least 4 feet by 8 feet long. Some are 15 feet long, some are 25 feet long. So we like to kind of argue about what goes where and who gets what, but we do rotate crops. So we have those raised beds, and then we have a walking path at the back of the property that it's under the trees, under hardwoods, that is lined, the path is lined with logs that are inoculated with mushrooms. So that'll be a topic of an upcoming video on how to do that. So the next step is to sun map. And if you're not familiar with sun mapping, it's basically observing where the sunlight is at various times of day. And you can get a sheet of paper and write down 8 a.m., noon, 4 p.m., sunset. And look at the percentage of shade that you have on your gardens, because the early spring things that you're going to plant, like the peas and the lettuce and the kale, and the leafy greens aren't going to take as much sun. But at this time of year, all the trees have lost their leaves. And this is Angel. So Charlie, talk about leafing out and what it does if you plant the wrong plants in the wrong place.
Well, our backyard is also heavily shaded from some really tall trees, both in the edge of our property and the neighbor's property. During the winter, we can actually grow some of the winter crops in the area that during the summer gets heavily shaded. And so when you're mapping out your light, you might want to take into account what time of the year you're mapping your light out as well. Crops low to the ground can go under trees in the spring and fall, where they may not be able to grow under a tree in the summer. And then when the trees lose their leaves, you can grow them again in the winter. So, keep an eye on your weather and your microclimates. Up close to a house will be warmer in the winter, and you can work your way out away from the house as the weather warms up. There's a lot of variability that you can deal with and use to your own advantage.
Somebody loves her daddy. That's Angel Cat. So we have a segment of the garden that is close to the tree line that when the sun's out, I'll put in English peas, maybe things that rely on budding to produce something. And that'll help build the soil, right, Daddy? They help build the nitrogen in the soil somewhat, right?
The trees?
The English peas.
Oh, English peas, yes.
Legumes.
Or, other legumes. During the winter, you can grow Austrian peas. They don't grow real fast in the winter, but they will
feed the soil.
Yeah.
So, and then when they're done and it's starting getting a little shady, then we put in lettuce, kale, that cabbage, things that can take a little less sun. So your next step, because I know everybody's got seed from last year. Don't try to tell me that you used all your seed. So the next thing you're going to do
Or seed
is
from
take
years.
these wonderful catalogs that come to you in January and December, and you hide them. Who needs the temptation? Look at this. Okay? So you're going to go through your seeds and look through the different varieties that you want to plant first off in the early spring. And again, with us, it's going to be the brassicas, the cabbage. We love Asian vegetables, so the bok choys and the long boks and the Chinese broccoli we absolutely adore. And we'll take it out, we're going to haggle over which bed gets what this year, keeping in mind what we planted last in that bed that may have depleted calcium or the nitrogen or whatever. So then I have lists of seed viability, how long are the seeds good for, and which also I'll have available on Etsy for cheap, like $1.75 if you want me to mail them to you, but $1 if you just want to download it. So in years, let's see, what's a popular vegetable for y'all? Do you do broccoli? Who doesn't like broccoli other than George Bush? Broccoli is good for 3 years. The bok choys are seeds usually good for 2 planting seasons. Cabbage is for how long, hon?
4, which is a little odd.
4 years on a cabbage seed. Carrots are good. Carrot seed's good for 3 years. Here's a shocker.
Radish. Generally, the smaller the seed, the faster it becomes non-viable, but radishes will go up to 5 years. There are some varieties of plants that want to spread a huge amount of seed as far as possible, and sometimes those seed require special conditions, and so they will last until they get those special conditions.
Which can be a long time, such as burdock root, I believe.
Fire root.
80 years.
Yeah. There are seeds that require a forest fire to come up, and those seeds can last a very long time. Now, you probably don't eat many of those plants.
Okay, so your brassicas, your kale, your kohlrabi, 4 years. Cucumber seeds are good for 5. Charlie's favorite, one of his favorites, are turnips.
5 years.
Half a decade.
Yeah.
Watermelon, 4 years. Squash. Things in squash and the cucumber families are 4 to 5 years. So I think that's interesting. So that's about all we're going to have for you today, other than to show you when we do go through these boxes of seed and decide which goes where. We tend to save plastic, and we'll take plastic and divide it into what's going to be started in the greenhouse and what's going to go direct sow. Now there's some overlap, as I said earlier, that some of the things will start in cell packs can also be direct sown. So I'll start in cell packs just in case something goes wrong in the greenhouse. I have the option to plant a few seeds direct sown in the spring. So we'll put the seeds that are used either outside or inside in plastic, in which I'll carry this to the greenhouse with me. And I make sure, because I forget which is what, to go ahead and label which is what. So that's the greenhouse. And this next one will be direct sow. We'll be back in a little bit to show you what we've chosen. See if we make your head spin with our varieties. I will say, if you absolutely have to order new seed, my favorite seed suppliers, and I'm not getting anything for promoting these people, are Heirloom Seeds through Baker Creek, Seed Savers Exchange, Kitazawa Seed Company out of California does the Asian vegetables and peppers. They have like the best germination rates of any of the seed companies I have dealt with. Who else do you like to order from? Is that about it?
That's about it. It's been a while since I've ordered.
Yeah, the wife spends the money. He makes the money. I spend it. It's a symbiotic relationship. And then this year, or starting last year, I started specializing in peppers from around the world, and actually imported some varieties of pepper that I couldn't find anywhere in the United States. That was an adventure. But later on in the year, you'll see what kind of hot peppers I've got, and we'll show you in a few minutes what we've selected to first start. And I start my hot peppers in waves. So see you in a bit.
Successive planting.
Successive planting and excessive planting with us, right?
Well, yeah, it's always excessive.
Okay. All right. See you in a moment. So I admin and moderate several Facebook pages. Most all have to do with gardening or medicine making. I'll put a couple of links below to some of my pages. Some specialize in tomatoes. He's a nut when it comes to tomatoes. He'll take his first tomato season to work to show it off like it's a child. And everyone oohs and ahs, oh, tomatoes. I have a page dedicated to peppers, everything pepper, from recipes to how to grow them, to different varieties and hot pepper sauce reviews. And that's called Pepperhead Seed Exchange, where you can go in and say, I've got this type of pepper to sell the seeds from or exchange, and you say what you want. And that's a really popular and very quickly growing page. I've got pages on herbal medicine. I've got pages on raised bed gardening. So there's quite a few pages I go in, and sadly, people ask me questions. Not sadly, go ahead and ask me what you need. But if they ask me about a vegetable or a flower that they're looking for, and I can find a source for them, it's really bad, because what happens is, while I'm researching where they can get their seeds, and if it's something new to me, guess what happens? He doesn't know I spent this money, but show us what the wife bought, dear.
Wild Boar Farms.
Is that Chris's?
Uh-oh. Lots of little packages. Let's see.
Wild Boar Farms specializes in unique varieties of tomato.
Oh, these are tomatoes? I thought
Those are tomatoes.
Okay, so Black Beauty, Amethyst Jewel,
Indigo Apple. Interesting. So we're going to have some new varieties of tomatoes.
And those of you who are getting older know that you develop acid reflux.
Oh,
So red tomatoes set me off, but the yellow, green, and last year we tried for the first time the black tomatoes, and they were.
We found Martha.
We found Martha.
Eggplant.
The black tomatoes, the indigo tomatoes, were absolutely delicious, although they take forever to mature. This is Martha, y'all. She is sourdough bread starter, sent to me by a friend. We had used a little bit of her and then put her somewhere safe, where she didn't belong. Okay, so that's Martha, sourdough starter. So what do we have here? Uh-oh.
A bunch of peppers.
More peppers.
More peppers.
Okay.
Three packs of one of them.
I figured those would be, I sell peppers. Pepper plants.
3 packs
And
of habanero. Habanana.
Habanana. It's supposed to be a tropical, like, habanero type thing, but sweet, not knocking your socks off. Look at this, guys. Can you see that variety? Ahi cachucha. Evidently hard to find. Well, guess who will have them for sale later on this year?
Here's one. Get her to pronounce this set.
Oh my. This is Paradiscum alaku sargas zenses. I think they're from Czechoslovakia.
I'm pretty sure they're not from the U.S.
Hungarian pepper.
Okay.
Flat rib pumpkin shaped fruit. Has tremendous flavor, very thick, crisp, juicy flesh. Sounds good to me.
Eggplant. Something we always have problems with here for some reason. And these are Thai green frog fingers. I'm not sure I want to eat frog fingers. I think you're supposed to eat the whole leg. And I'm not sure that will go with eggplant too well, but hey, we're going to try it. We try something once every year, or try something new every year.
Yeah, many something news.
This is called a cabbage, but I don't know if you can see it, but it evidently looks like romaine lettuce, even though it's called a cabbage.
The variety is called granat. You can see that. Doesn't that look like a lettuce? That's a cabbage.
And evidently we're going to try carrots again, even in this hard red clay.
Oh, we grew them in pots last year,
Yeah.
and they did great.
Okay, Uzbek Golden.
Uzbek.
For those of you who don't know or
Borders
aren't
of
told
China.
enough, carrots were not always yellow or orange. That was a breeding program by a particular country whose colors were orange. And you can get carrots of other colors.
And the other color carrots really do taste better, and they're better for you. It just orange was a fad, and then no one ever got out of the habit of no one got out of the habit of really growing the orange carrots. So the popularity of the purple and the black and the red kind of waned a bit. Well, now we've rediscovered them, and I'm telling you, they're absolutely worth trying. Very tasty. So we need to haggle on what we're going to start first, and we'll be back to talk to you in a bit. Hey, so we're back after going through all these boxes of seed, and I've pulled out what I'm going to start in the next 10 days in the greenhouse. Just to give you an idea, 8 to 10 weeks before your last frost. And we're watching his reaction. White borage. Calendula.
Used to be a very popular food, not much anymore.
It is with us. We make our salves out of it too. Salves and tea. And it's a good bug protecting plant for the garden, companion plant. Early purple sprouting broccoli. Papalao from Mexico. It's a seasoning that's a lot like coriander. Thought we'd get a base out of that. More calendula. I'm going to start a certain percentage of our cucumbers in cell packs. And then go ahead and sow in place, because we have about 15 trellises that we can grow things at vine up. And I really like this Japanese variety of cucumber. It's a really long cucumber with excellent flavor. Although our vines didn't give us very many last year, they bloomed a lot, but we only had, 5 or 6 actually make it.
Yep.
I ordered some onions from MI Gardeners, my first time buying their seed, and the jury's out. Well, here in Georgia, we really need to plant a short day onion, and they need to be started in September, October. So this is a different variety than I'm used to, and it says to start it several weeks before the last frost. We'll give that a try. There's a Chinese cucumber, jade cucumber, will start in cell pack. Those of you who like Jamaican cooking, we're going to do a Calendula, which is really a type of amaranth. They germinate really well. An Italian round zucchini. You're not sick of us already? We hope you stay well, stay safe, and we'll see you later.
Bye.